You're listening to the Doctor Is In podcast, brought to you by MartinClinic.com. During the episode, the doctors share a lot of information. As awesome as the info may be, it is not intended to diagnose, cure, treat, or prevent any disease. It's strictly for informational purposes.
Well, good morning, everyone. I want to talk to you about something, how I am when there is actually 3 new studies that came out yesterday. Well, it was probably more than that came out, but I saw 3 yesterday. I flagged all 3 of them, and you know how I just get excited, and so I can't share all 3 this morning, but I got enough fodder for a lot of podcasts, okay? Because all 3 of them just what? Unbelievable. But this morning I want to talk to you about one of them. It had to do with vitamin D. And again, it's something that if you ever stop learning in the healthcare field, you ought to get out of the healthcare field. You can never stop learning. Then never be so fixed in your ways that you can't study and read and, try and understand even more. I tell you, I just got blown away by this yesterday, that what they're showing is, okay, so the study says this, okay? So let me just read it to you. Here's the study. People with chronically low vitamin D levels, okay? So the only way to know exactly where your vitamin D is to take a blood test. It's called your dihydroxy 25, okay? In the United States, you need to be well over 50. I like in the 70 to the 100 blood range for dihydroxy vitamin D. And in Canada, I like between about 150 to 200. And even like 250 be the max. But if you want to have a healthy immune system and your body, remember what I've always said, your body is a human solar panel. Okay? Every cell in your body needs vitamin D. But listen to this study yesterday. Blew me away. People with chronically low vitamin D levels, even if they get in the sun, even if they take a supplement of vitamin D, listen to this. People with chronically low vitamin D levels are people that have a bad diet. Now, I'm saying it, but I didn't come up with that, okay? I didn't come up with that. This study is showing that because a lot of people, they can't understand, they take vitamin D or they get in the sun a lot, but their blood levels for vitamin D are not high. And that's the vast majority of people. I can tell you that right now. Most people have very low levels of vitamin D. And now they know why. Because of a bad diet. You see where crappy carbs, crappy vegetable oils, you see what they do to the body? Unbelievable. So here's me, okay? So taking that study, I just wrote this out this morning, okay? I just wrote it out because I think I'm going to add it to my book. I just a little light comes on, clink. It hits me in a way that I go, okay, because I've said some of these things before, but I want to say them again. You can't out-exercise a bad diet. You can't out-exercise a bad diet, okay? So the whole thing in terms of diet and losing weight, listen, ask me about any diet. I've been around since the 1970s. You name it, I've heard it. I can give you the Coles Notes version on any diet you want to know, okay? Because you name it. But one thing we know, you can't out-exercise a bad diet. You can't. You got a bad diet, I don't care how much exercise you do. Exercise is wonderful. It's vitamin E at the Martin Clinic. It is so good for you. We talk about it all the time. And I highly recommend it. You know that. Move. But when you are trying to lose weight, because a lot of people have that. I'm going to go on the treadmill and I'm going to go on, going to the gym. I'm going to go on a treadmill. Yeah, but that will not be for weight loss. It was always not true. Because if you got a bad diet, you got a bad diet. You know, where it even tells you on some of these machines at the gym how many calories you're burning. Who cares? It doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't. So you can't out-exercise a bad diet, okay? You just can't. And so guess what I always come back to? Your diet. You can't out-exercise it. You can't out-COVID a bad diet. Brought to you by the Martin Clinic. We talked to you about this, I don't know, was it a week ago or 2 weeks ago? Remember when I blew your socks off? Because when they gave the flu shot in the United Kingdom to people who had visceral fat, you know what happened? The flu shot didn't work. They didn't build antibodies. You can't outdo the COVID virus. The COVID virus affects people. Look, if you're really old, and even then, you can be healthy and be really old. You can be healthy if you have a good diet. But if you don't have a good diet, you're not going to be healthy. And your immune system doesn't work. It doesn't work. They've shown that. And the whole thing nobody talks about in the COVID virus, the whole thing, shut down. Wait for the vaccine, if you have visceral fat, the vaccine's not going to help you. It won't work. Tell your friends. It's not going to work. It'll work for some people, but, even in Canada, let me tell you last year, the flu shot worked. This is by the admission of Health Canada. The flu shot worked in 40% of the people. Well, what happened? When I got 40% in high school, I failed. You remember that? I do. I majored in recess, okay? I hated school. I did. I love sports, and that was like me. Listen, I got through because I could memorize. At the last minute, I was a crammer. But guys, listen to me. You cannot get a good immune system when you are eating poorly. Now it's all coming out. And here we are in 40% of success rate. And, I can understand. Doctors say, well, it's better to get the flu shot and, it'll give you a 40% chance of not getting the virus, the flu. I'm talking about the flu. But the people that it doesn't work on, and now we know, they got a bad diet. Because they're not even making antibodies for the virus, the coronavirus, or any other virus. They're not making the antibodies. You can't absorb vitamin D properly on a bad diet. You can't out-supplement a bad diet, even with vitamin D. Wow, I just wrote these out. You can't fight cancer on a bad diet. Now listen, it's incredible to me. I probably see well over 1,000 cancer patients a year. And 99% of the time that when I see them, they'd already got the diagnosis and already have been, some of them I see before they get treatment, or I see them right after they've been given the diagnosis and they called me or whatever. I talk to cancer patients every day. Okay? And it's amazing to me in 2020 that people don't talk. Like if you're at the cancer center here, we have a huge cancer center here in my hometown. Nobody talks to them about their diet. And if they get any counseling on their diet, they're told to eat a balanced diet. And they're usually sent home, especially if they've had treatment, with Ensure or Boost. You know those drinks? You know what Ensure is? It's ensuring that your cancer will grow. You know what Boost is? It'll boost your risk of dying. It's full of crap. It's full of sugar. And they give you that because you know why? Well, I had it the other day. I had a discussion with a physician the other day. And I said, don't you think that the diet has anything to do with cancer? No. Cancer is genetic. Cancer is complicated, he said. It's complicated. Well, I didn't say it wasn't complicated, but doesn't the diet have something to do with it? Nope. No, not at all. And then I reminded him of the PET scan that cost a fortune. We had to raise money in Sudbury. And I was all for it, by the way. I'm all for that PET scan. I liked it because I knew it was better than an MRI as far as cancer goes, because it's specifically made for cancer. And then they give you a cup of glucose, and you go into the machine, and if you have cancer, you light up like a Christmas tree. Well, I said, what, doesn't sugar have something to do with that? Yeah, bah. Eat a balanced diet. Oh, you know me, my cortisol went up. I got that ooh inside, and I said, Tony, calm down. Calm down. Don't get too uptight. Because I can get uptight, but I don't want to get uptight when, listen, here's what I've often said, and Jeanette and Nicole know this because they worked with me for years in the clinic. Like some people, they said, Doc, why didn't you really try and convince that patient? Because sometimes I can be very passionate with patients about their diet. And I really, I get very passionate. I remember a lady one time I came into I didn't even sit down. I just came in, I had her results in front of me before I talked to her, and she said, Dr. Martin, I don't want you to talk loud. I said, are you kidding me? I said, I don't know how to talk. I don't know how to whisper. I just don't. My wife says, you were born with a foghorn in your throat. Tony Jr. says, Dad, you have a microphone in your throat. I know, and Tony Jr. is not like that. He's very mild. He doesn't get that voice up. Me, I do, but I don't know if it's because we were 11 children in our family, but we had to scream and shout over top of each other to be heard. I don't know. All I know is I'm very loud. Okay. And the lady goes, don't talk loud. I said, oh, you came to the wrong place. But for some people, they couldn't understand why I didn't get passionate with them. I said, you know why? Because I had the ability after a lot of years to know whether people were listening or not. Like, guys, like this physician, he wasn't listening. He wasn't listening. So you know what? I don't waste my time. You know what? I gave him a little analogy about the PET scan, and then I shut up. You know why? He's not listening. I talk to people, and I can tell. Oh, Doc, I didn't know this was going to be so hard. Any change you make in your life is never easy. True or false? Right? Like, it's like the reset. I say, well, look, go home. Go home for 30 days and don't eat one carbohydrate. None. Well, Doc, what am I supposed to do? I have sandwiches every lunchtime, right? I have a sandwich every lunchtime. I said, pretend you have bread. Eat the meat, but not the bread. Well, Doc, I can't do that. I said, well, then I can't help you. I can't help you. And I figure out in a very short period of time whether, if you're listening, I'm your biggest coach. I did a lot of coaching in my lifetime, hockey, okay? Hockey, and I coached I coached hockey and I coached baseball for many, many, many years, okay? And my thing was there to be a coach was to motivate. I could motivate people. But if they can't be, like I get a lot of people calling me or whatever, or they're online with us, and they say, oh, I would love you, Dr. Martin, to talk to my daughter or whatever, or my son or my son-in-law, or wish you could talk to my husband. Well, when your husband is ready, he will talk to me and I'll motivate him. But, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't necessarily make them drink it, right? Guys, listen to me. The very first step in your health journey is your diet. I've simplified this for you. It's not complicated. Lower your carbohydrates. Because if you don't, you are on the Titanic, you're going to hit the iceberg. It's only a matter of time. I don't know how I can make it any simpler than that. And you can't out-exercise a bad diet. You can't out-COVID a bad diet. You can't out-absorb, out-sun a bad diet. Imagine the sun. The sun! It's so good for you. Okay? Even the COVID virus, we talked about it yesterday, it doesn't last even, 90 seconds outside. You can wear a mask. I don't care. That's up to you. But if you have the sun and you're outside, you ain't getting the virus. Outside. If you got a bad diet, you can get the virus. Okay? So you can't out-supplement a bad diet. You can't fight cancer on a bad diet. You can't beat heart disease on a bad diet. 2 things to look for. And they have everything to do with food when it comes to your heart. Triglycerides and HDL. And they're both have to do with your diet. Triglycerides, bad fats, 3 fats, are caused by sugar and crappy carbohydrates. Bread, pasta, rice, cereals, sugar, sweets, pastries, muffins, and bagels. Oh, Dr. Martin, it's a whole wheat. I don't care. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's still a crappy carb. Don't fool yourself. Okay? You can't beat heart disease on a bad diet. You can't. Oh, my uncle lived till 110 and he smoked 6 packs of cigarettes a day and drank beer and this and that. Yeah. But that was by the grace of God. That had nothing to do with your uncle, drinking beer and smoking cigarettes and eating Cheerios in the morning. It had nothing to do with that. That's the grace of God. Because I'm telling you, you look at statistics, it's incredible. I'm going to bring it to you tomorrow, maybe, but I want to talk to you. I got 2 more studies to talk to you about. I'm only talking to you about the vitamin D study. You should hear these other 2. I'll always come back to diet, so don't worry about it. Okay? You can't beat Alzheimer's on a bad diet. You can't beat Alzheimer's on a bad diet. Guys, the pharmaceutical industry is searching up and down. If you want to know, I know they're running to get the COVID vaccine, because can you imagine if it's worldwide, there's going to be a lot of money to be had, okay? But let me tell you what the pharmaceutical industry has been a colossal failure thus far. You know what they're looking for? They're looking for a drug for Alzheimer's. They have been a colossal failure. Really. It has discouraged them, but they're not giving up, of course, because can you imagine it's one of the fastest growing diseases is Alzheimer's and dementia. And be honest, if you get around my age especially, you know what? You know how fear drives people? We've seen it with COVID. People are fearful. I saw a lady yesterday. She had her mask on in her car, and I felt like getting in the car and taking the mask down. So you don't have to worry about the virus in the car. Anyway. No, but guys, listen. You will not beat Alzheimer's and dementia, which is the number 3 killer in North America. Already it's gone up on the hit parade to number 3, number 1 in the United Kingdom. Number 1 in the United Kingdom. Imagine in the United Kingdom that Alzheimer's is killing more people than anything else. It's crazy. And Alzheimer's is coming to a theater near you guys. It's coming in young people. There was a study done. This is not even one of the 3 studies I wanted to talk to you about, but there was a study I read this week about Alzheimer's in children. They're starting to affect their memory when they're young. Young adults are already starting. What is it? It's sugar. It's sugar. It's crappy carbs, guys. Isn't it crazy? So you can't outdo Alzheimer's on a bad diet, and you won't beat autoimmune disease on a bad diet. You just won't. What does MS have to do with a bad diet? What does Crohn's disease have to do with a bad diet? What's ulcerative colitis have to do? What's psoriatic arthritis? What is rheumatoid arthritis? What does that have to do with a bad diet? It has everything to do with a bad diet. I know it starts with leaky gut, but even leaky gut, guys, you know when you get leaky gut, you get candida. Candida is a fungus. Candida will go everywhere in your body if you don't take care of it. And listen, you get candida when you feed it. Don't feed the bears. This is why we don't put our garbage outside. This is the time of the year the bears are running around Sudbury. Like my sister says, they're buying condos. There's so many stinking bears. So you don't put your garbage out. But candida is the bears. Parasites are the bears. Don't feed them. They only eat crappy sugar and crappy carbohydrates. Okay? So just remember that. Because this is very, very important. So think of the ramifications of what I just said this morning. Even vitamin D, which to me is, I just love vitamin D. I love vitamin D. I think it's the answer to almost every issue. I mean, as far as supplement, the number one supplement, I don't know, probiotics, vitamin D. Probiotics, vitamin D. It's close, right? But you got to have even a good gut to absorb your vitamin D. But listen, now they're finding out you can't even absorb vitamin D when you're eating crap all the time. So this is why we see so much chronically low levels of vitamin D. Isn't that crazy? Okay. Have I ranted enough for you this morning? Love you guys. Talk to you soon.
You've reached the end of another Doctor is In podcast with your hosts, Dr. Martin Jr. and Sr. Be sure to catch our next episode, and thanks for listening.